Start now. All right, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this second season series today on marketing. And we have a bunch of dynamic students of the fourth year and the first year to lead this way up. The topic of today is branding and rebranding. How do marketers take advantage of this? And that's what we will be talking about today for the next 1 hour. A brief introduction to our super dynamic panelists here. They would contribute a lot based on what they've learned and would like to, share their views today with all of you. So let's start. Pratik, introduce yourself.
My name is Pratik, and I'm the fourth year graduate from BBA at SPJ, and I'm really excited to share my experiences and my knowledge in marketing and for the series here.
Great, wonderful.
Hi, I'm Harshita Ahuja. I'm in the first year of BBA at SPJ, and I consider myself a marketing enthusiast, and I'm really excited for the panel discussion today.
Excellent.
Hi, my name is Sanjana. I'm from the graduating class of BBA, and I'm one of the co-founders of the club. And the main reason for us to form this club was to dive deep into the world of marketing that we as Gen Zs are looking forward to, and I'm really interested to be a part of the discussion and contribute in my knowledge that I've learned all through the 4 years.
I'm Kalpesh. I'm a marketing student from fourth year. I'm grateful to be here today to discuss about rebranding and apply all the concepts that we've learned in marketing throughout. And yeah, looking forward to a meaningful discussion.
Fantastic.
Hi everyone, my name is Sayogita, and even I'm from the fourth year batch of BBA from SPGen. And Sanjana and I co-founded this club, and we're very enthusiastic about marketing. We want to learn through experiences and by talking to others who are passionate about the same thing, and that's why we're here today. I'm really looking forward to this discussion.
Great, wonderful.
Hello, my name is Laksh. I'm a first year student studying BBA at SPGen. I'm a part of the marketing club, and yeah, I'm interested in marketing and really excited for the session.
Good.
Hi, I'm Shagun Bora. I'm also a first year SPGen BBA student, and this is my first time on this panel discussion here, and I'm very thankful for have been invited here. And I'm here to share my opinions and my thoughts on whatever we are here to discuss today, and really looking forward to what the conclusion is going to be after all this.
Wonderful, superb. A wonderful mix of the audience. We did not plan it, but it happened in that ways, and therefore we have the Gen Zs and the millennials talking about a concept like branding and rebranding. And I think it's high time we need to know about their perspectives. What they look at and how do they look at stuff as marketers and as consumers. And I think that's what our discussion is going to be all about during the next hour. Feel free to put in a line or the other based on what you guys think as well. We're more than happy to take that. Questions, drop it into the chat box. We'll pick it up towards the end, kind of a wrap up in terms of what we have been talking about. But feel free to put in your thoughts and views in the chat box by generously. Thank you. Let's move on. So let's start our discussion. And in our discussion, the concept of branding is very, very dear to every marketer's heart. Ultimately, we all do this to build a brand, and we want to make sure that we sustain or maintain our brand so that we do not break it, crumble it with whatever little activity that we do. You would have seen the market cap go down with just a little move that a celebrity does. You see just the new name that the brand gets created, and what burden does it, or what baggage does it have to carry. Branding, therefore, is the essence of marketing. It's like a report card. If you've done well, it goes on. If it does not do well, you learn from it, and then you walk back up and walk it up. So just very quickly, somebody had said, what is the difference between marketing and branding? It's like going on a date. Marketing is when you ask somebody whether you would want to go on a date with, and branding is when that person says yes to you. So I think that's what everybody aspires to be. Let's move on with our discussion. Branding, I think we understand what branding is all about, right? So let's just quickly talk about what is your perspective on branding. Anyone?
For me, branding is like creating a strong and positive image of a brand in the mind of the target audience. through various elements like logo, design, mission statement, and making, most importantly, having a consistent theme in all the marketing communications that goes about in the company.
Correct, fantastic. I think all those words are important. Marketing mix, consistency, and vision, mission. And a brand cannot succeed without these things or without these ingredients. Anyone else?
Yeah. So to me, I think branding in simple terms is the social value attached to any brand, which basically means how you're positioned in the market and how which kind of brand association with the people or your target audience holds about your brand. So it is the social value of any brand.
Okay, fantastic.
And I think just to add on what Kalpesh
Sure.
said, I think for me, branding is like the key which takes your company from being just a company to a brand. It takes you to the next level, and I think it is significant in today's day and age if you want to succeed, especially at the global level.
Absolutely. And I think while at the macro level, a brand is a brand, but at the micro level, we are all brands and we get tested practically every day. Our perceptions get built and our perceptions get ruined. And we need to stand up, back up and saying, hey, this is how we want to be known as. The best times that we get tested, of course, in our social circles when they say, why you? And in a professional circle when they say, why hire you? So that's when branding is a focus nowadays. With branding, our next topic that we want to talk about and touch upon is rebranding. With this, I think what we as a group are going to talk about is not that when you do branding once, you stick onto it. You got to re-examine that regularly, and we got to talk about why do we rebrand after all? What is the genesis? What is the need for it to rebrand? And I think that's what we want to touch ourselves for. So I think, I don't know, just you can add to it, guys. Do you think rebranding is to remove negativity, or is rebranding associated with negativity, or there is no such association? What would you say?
I mean, rebranding can be done to remove negativity, but it depends on what the company wants to achieve. Basically, when we think about it, rebranding is done when the company wants to reinvent its image in the minds of the consumers. They want to change its logo or the name, or if they have different product offerings, they want to rebrand themselves. But then a lot of companies still rebrand themselves due to the negative press, due to the negative internal debates inside their teams. So that are the reasons why I think companies do rebrand.
And adding on to what just Prateek said, that rebranding, as we know, we always think that it's about changing the logo or the brand name or the symbol. But in addition to that, I think rebranding is also when a company wants to position some of its products in a different target segment. That is also where rebranding comes into play.
Correct. I think that point also adds a lot of value that we will discuss later on. If you want to widen your segment, you must rebrand. Yeah, very good. And rebranding is to improve or enhance your image. Yes.
Maybe even to meet new consumer needs and wants and get new products in the market. So companies do rebrand themselves in that area.
So to address distinct or newer needs as well. Yeah. Okay.
And I think when we're talking about negative image, that is usually the reason why rebranding is done. I think we need to keep in mind that a lot of different tools are available now. So if you think about rebranding maybe 5 or 10 years ago, you would definitely think that it was done to change a negative image.
Correct.
But with the kind of changing consumer behaviors, the kind of available tools, marketing tools that are available, I think rebranding is much more than just changing that negative image. It is also to reposition and do a lot of other things that you mentioned right now.
Absolutely.
So apart from that, the other purpose may be to make your product stand out, to highlight your USP in a niche or saturated market. That is when you rebrand your product.
Okay. Okay. So that happens, and therefore you need to redo something about it to create that buzz, create that excitement.
Yeah, highlight the USP, highlight what is different from the competitors.
Sure.
I think just to break that monotony, if you're a very old brand and you need to be seen as someone new, then I think that's what you would go for rebranding.
Sure. Perfect.
Yeah, I think adding on to what Sayodita said, market is constantly evolving, so companies need to evolve themselves to cope up with what's happening around them. So rebranding is necessary at that point of time to stay competitive and to stay relevant to the current trends in the society.
True. I think I'm just going to add a few little pointers here, to just sum up all these points. And we know the Lifebuoy example, for instance. Lifebuoy was a brand used for a distinct, target segment. And years later, Unilever said, let's target it or let's position amongst the teens as a facial care soap. It took them about 3 to 4 years to, rebrand themselves, reposition themselves, and in that process, of course, they kept the brand as Lifebuoy, but they tested various variants, saying, should we say Lifebuoy Gold, Lifebuoy Plus, because that is what will add something to, something to what my target customer appeals to. We also see another thing now, include the word organic in your branding, and automatically you don't have to, stock anything about it. It's just like saying, add the word Islamic to your branding, and you don't have to say what kind of Islamic banking products we want to stock and sell. So yes, those are also a means and forms of rebranding, not that you revamp everything, but you just add on to it. Yeah. Any favorite rebranded company, anyone that you can immediately spark off before we deep dive into specifics?
I won't say favorite, but yeah, I can recollect of a company. I don't really remember the name again, but
no worries.
So yeah, there were two.
I think you're back. Just come this side.
Yeah.
Yes.
So this is a case in India where there were two pain balms. Pain balm was very dominant in its market, and a new company wanted to enter the market. So what they did is they focused their advertising strategy on saying that it is especially for backache. So when people had backache, they opted for that drug instead of the previously dominant balm. So gradually they entered the market, and then obviously headache and everything was treated through that.
Through that.
Yeah. So that is one I like.
Good.
All right. There's also one. Dunkin'. Previously it was known as Dunkin' Donuts, but now they rebranded to Dunkin' because whenever we say Dunkin', everyone says like donuts. That's the first thing that comes to mind. And they offer much more products like coffees and other like snacks. That's why they rebranded themselves. I think past in last 3-4 years, 2018, if I'm not wrong, and they became Dunkin' and the new tagline came out to be America runs on Dunkin'. So not just donuts, but like the coffee also.
Coffee also, yeah. Good. Yes.
And then there's this brand called Burberry too, which everyone knows. So I think they rebranded themselves in the year of 2016, when Burberry was previously known as a apparel only for gangwear in 1990s, 1960s. So that time it was very famous in British that only people who are in the streets wear the trench coats from Burberry. But then when they had a new CEO, if I'm not wrong, she wanted to change the brand perception about Burberry. They took homage from their founders, Thomas Burberry, and got the TB sign as a main design.
Yes.
And they changed their logo from the night. They got a simple, just the word Burberry, and they changed the font of the words too.
True. Absolutely.
I think being in the UAE market and being a UAE resident, the first brand that comes to my mind is Etisalat, because I have seen it over the years and I am seeing how currently they are in the process of rebranding. So I can see that they're taking small steps and they're working towards it constantly and taking an active step towards it. So I think that is one that comes to my mind. But if I was to name another brand, I think a very interesting case would be Nokia. Nokia comes up in almost every marketing discussion, but even in this, I think it was very interesting to see how when they knew they were declining and when they had no other means, they used rebranding, and even that did not help them. So I think that gives us the lesson that rebranding is not always the solution. So I would say Nokia for that.
Yeah, true. Good examples there.
Also, this was an ad back in 2013 when Titan changed its logo and the name to Titan Company. And the main motive behind that was being more customer centric, wherein they wanted to, make it as a value delivery platform service system. So that was also one of the brands that I could recall when we talk about rebranding.
Absolutely.
I think most of the famous brands actually keep rebranding themselves, but from like the smallest thing to their logos to maybe big transformations. Starbucks, Apple. Whenever we study marketing, we always see such examples. They've changed their logo so many times, and not just logo. They've changed their mission and vision statement. So they keep rebranding themselves so that they know that they're existing in the market.
I think when big companies like that set the benchmark that, we rebrand and we're refreshing ourselves, smaller companies or the ones who are new into the market, they get confused. They feel that they also need to cope up with this and they need, it's this industry standard that they have to meet. But that's actually not the case. You can do well even if you don't rebrand yourself, and rebranding should be a very strategic decision.
True, absolutely true. You just don't do it for the sake of it, because if you do it for the sake of it, you'll fall, backfire, and it will actually create more bad to your brand rather than good to your brand. Yes, we all love and talk brands, and this can go on and on for hours, because at any social occasion, once upon a time we had these WhatsApp messages pass by, solve this puzzle in the next 5 minutes, and that puzzle had about 50 logos, and everybody was so engrossed and engaged into it. What was your score? What is my score? So brands does bring about that excitement within you, and it does keep you going for hours and hours if you are a marketing or a brand fanatic. You want to add anything? Or?
No, I think very great examples with what everyone said. And I think personally, I also see Domino's to constantly rebrand themselves, because earlier in the 2008, 2009, it was a loss-making company. And through the right leadership and the change of leadership, they actually did a marketing research on what the consumers actually wanted and how they wanted to give orders to them. So yeah, gradually they kept on rebranding themselves and evolved into a profit-making company, and the first name that comes when you hear of pizzas.
Correct. And I think there they rebranded themselves just on the basis of price. They rebranded on convenience and service, and therefore
also on the quality of the product.
Yes.
I think
and they worked on it. Yes.
And how the consumers can order through. They were the first ones to introduce the live chatbot for consumers to order pizzas from them.
For the convenience of the customer more than for them.
I think they're well known for the fast delivery.
Yes, absolutely. They were the first ones to start with
that through market research.
Good, fantastic. So I think let's move on with that same zeal onto what we now want to talk about is, we want to talk about the recent rebranding, which is very much, the talk of the town. A little bit there on the Facebook Meta ad. We know why Meta was created. We know what Facebook went through last few years. In spite of all of that, their brand value has gone up by only 3% compared to what it should have been. So, Meta, and then we have the SRK platforms. When everybody heard, like, wow, from IPL to films to OTT this guy is now into this, and so of course that somebody might turn around and say, so what? How is it rebranding? But yes, of course it is rebranding, because it links up to an iconic brand like SRK in the very first place itself. So yes, that fusion of whether it's doable or not is what we want to delve down again and talk about it. Meta, yes, it's a wonderful thing personally, but a lot of baggage that it has to carry with it, and how it's going to live with that will be interesting to see in the times to come.
Speaking about Facebook and Meta, they rebranded because they wanted to introduce their future products on AI and everything. But us Gen Zs, we are super confused with all of this that's happening. Like, we don't know what metaverse is, honestly. And we were the primary users of Facebook. And when they did it to Facebook, Instagram, and everything. So when they did, we were just like, I don't know what's happening. I don't know what they're trying to tell us or what their main goal is now. So in that terms, I think they're lacking in that consumer connection communication.
Basically, for that is, what is metaverse for us? It's a vision in the next 10 years. And the vision for Meta is now that the vision is the vision in 10 years. So it's very difficult for them to connect to the consumers now.
They want to show the world that they're at the forefront of diving into the next evolution of internet. So Zuckerberg wants to be ahead of everyone and show that he is aware of where the world is heading to. Another reason, obviously, is to escape from its reputation and the controversies. Facebook has had privacy issues, and all the misinformation that it was.
So maybe the timing may not have been right for it, though the intentions may be very noble in terms of what we have. So as an outsider, I look at it as an escape route to whatever the brand Facebook had done, and therefore Meta.
And also, to add up to this, I think what they were trying to do is to create a digital ecosystem wherein individuals could have fun and socialize at the same time. But as said by Shagun as well, the communication went wrong. If they had communicated it in the right way from the start, I think this could be a better strategy that the company could use.
Absolutely.
I actually share a slightly different idea or thought than most of what was discussed right now. I think it is a little too soon for us to jump to conclusions whether this rebranding was successful, needed, required, or not. I think Facebook, Meta, they have been in the market for too long to make stupid mistakes or to make really quick moves without thinking about it. I think they have done this very strategically, and the kind of confusion or the curiosity that is there right now, I think that is intended. I mean, I find it very hard to believe that a company like this, who's been in the market for so long, would just leave all of its consumers and customers in this state of curiosity and not take any action on it. So I think the rebranding, the results of it would be effective in a while, not very recently.
Sure. Patience, this is what you're saying. But as a consumer, it's good to have that, but we wait and watch and see. But we've already started making perceptions and image about it with 3 or 4 months of its launch, and that is interesting to know about branding. Good, interesting point.
I think perception-wise, my perception to this would be that it is more than an escape route. I think it is a competitive gimmick. Just to become the top company in the world, just to reach that top spot, you have to do something. So it is a desperate attempt at that. But again, as I said, maybe with patience and with time, a different story is unfold. So let's see.
Wow. Yes. What about SRK? I mean, SRK is, when we all heard it, I'm sure we went and said, wow, this another venture into his cap.
And then isn't it just
he wants to escape.
Advertising gimmick for Hotstar?
Could be, yes, could be.
Maybe he's getting good amount of payment for this and
I think,
but he's owning it. He wants to start something on his own.
I think he wants to escape from the downfall in his movie career towards.
I'm getting old too, anyways.
I mean,
Yeah.
He's not a lot of SRK fans.
Yeah.
no, he used to love his movies, love him as a person also. Heard really good about him that he was one of the most sophisticated actors that have been. But in his past movies, the latest ones that he'd already taken out, he was not getting any good movies. They were all a flop. And I think that's when he started shifting to other platforms. He's a really good speaker. I've seen some of his TED Talks and other videos. So I think going to this platform might just escape from that, and he'll be known for this. He already has a brand name.
Yeah.
I think the thing that's common between both the examples here is the fact that there's still a little bit of curiosity, confusion. So we're still not sure as to exactly what's happening. But if SRK Plus is actually an OTT platform when it comes out, I think it would definitely create confusion with the name being very similar to Disney Plus Hotstar. But other than that, I think it would be a successful venture because he is known to have very successful ventures and to be a good businessman. So if this is an actual venture, I think it would be a good one.
I think he's confident it's going to set out because it's his name. Like he is a brand.
Yeah.
But then thinking about it,
But
then thinking about it, before he launched this SRK Plus, he was doing a series of ads for Disney Plus Hotstar.
That's
Correct.
true.
Yes, that's true. Yeah.
So when they recently released the ads for SRK Plus, it was there was this director called Anurag Kashyap giving him some ideas, as in for movies which are not there in Disney Plus Hotstar, movies which are already there, the similar ones. So what I really believe is this is just an advertising for Disney Plus Hotstar because Disney Plus Hotstar wants to rebrand themselves.
Oh, okay.
personally, it doesn't surprise me to see SRK going into OTT platforms because he has been keen to other business opportunities in the past. His stake in Kolkata Knight Riders, Red Chillies Entertainment, which he owns with his wife, Gauri Khan, and now this. And I think following the trends of how OTT is being used more today, ever since the pandemic, he is looking towards a lucrative opportunity and making more money. And as I said, he's getting old to perform in movies too. So why not have something?
Yeah, but a lot of what should I say, a buzz around these two brands with regards to why and what is it going to look like eventually. So those questions, I'm sure a lot of audiences have it when they announce it, but did create a buzz in the market in terms of curiosity, inquisitiveness about branding and also rebranding and the fusion between the two. Yeah. So moving on to our, I know this discussion can go on, but I'm here to just make sure that we all facilitate and talk about it in a respected, this time slot that we have. And would you say rebranding works well only through advertisement, or what is your view, or what is your connection between advertisements and rebranding?
I think to communicate that you're rebranding, advertisement is a very imperative tool, because okay, you are rebranding, but how does the world know that you have been rebranding yourself? So to get that out there, and so that people associate you correctly now, advertisements is really important.
It's important.
It's like a starting step. That's how you're supposed to start, to make everyone aware about it. But it shouldn't be the only tool that you use when you're rebranding, because then even if people are aware, they need more than that. It has to be in store and online. There has to be other platforms that you can inform people about your rebranding. But I think a starting step, advertisements would be really good, because they're worldwide and it's easy to reach people across the world.
Interesting. So let's find it out ourselves how it is. I'm sure a lot of us have seen this multiple times. Yeah? When it came through, it's like, firstly, there was a lot of buzz around it. Also, is it real? Is it fake? Somebody said behind the scenes is much more interesting than this one. Then we said, we started this conversation saying, "Wow, did you see that? Did you see this?" So this is a very recent campaign, and they came out with another one of this also with the Expo bang to it. There is Emirates here, of course. We know Emirates as a brand. So in terms of if we were to evaluate or look at this ad as a means to rebrand, what do you think? Who wanted to brand here? What was the rebranding? Was it successful? Was it not successful? Based on of course what we know and what we learn.
I think, as we know that Emirates has always positioned itself as one of the premium airlines, and the main idea behind this ad, in my personal perspective, is that they wanted to show that if you take in a flight from Emirates, you're having a world-class experience with added safety. Because that lady going to the top of Burj Khalifa and shooting this ad was something that had put all of us in awe. If we had not seen the behind the scenes of it, I don't think we would understand on how much efforts actually went behind in this entire act. So
true.
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah, because it was very difficult to believe it firstly.
Personally, I really like this ad because firstly, this ad itself got everyone talking about it. So, the brand awareness increased immediately. So, brownie points for that. Apart from that, I think they changed their tagline from Hello Future to Fly Better. So, I think that's what they were rebranding here, because they were saying on top of the world when you're going to fly better. That's what Emirates is doing. So, the convenience, the top-notch facilities that you're going to get on the airlines. I think that was their message here.
Very true, yeah.
And I think, the rebranding or what they were trying to communicate, it was also the fact that the confusion whether you can fly to UK or the red list, the green list, the amber list, all of that is now come to a pause. COVID has kind of settled down and Dubai is open for everyone. So that is the real idea that they want to portray here. And I think what Shagun said was right, that they also want to kind of highlight that they have changed their tagline slightly to fit with the environment, and that is the reason they must have done this.
Yeah, so exactly what I wanted to say. Emirates was not only branding itself, it was branding Dubai as a city as well. So they write "See you in Dubai." So Dubai is more focused on tourism, and post-pandemic they had to bring in something exciting, something for the people to excite them to come back to Dubai. So they did it well, I think.
Yeah.
I think those who watched the ad like 4-5 times, only those people have actually read what was written. The first time when you look at the ad, you're just looking at the lady, she's standing on top of Burj Khalifa, and then you just look at the news whether it's true or not. So I think the ad was so exciting that we kind of missed the point of what they were trying to show in the middle.
True.
But since it was so good that everyone kept watching, in the end we all read what was there and we actually realized that it was rebranding and they actually changed the tagline and then realized the point.
So also a strategy to call back the tourists that we are now open, the pandemic has gone, so come back to Dubai.
I think the timing was perfect.
Yeah, it's good time.
And I think one thing that the thread that comes out of this was a brand like Emirates, a brand like Dubai. The first question was, why does it need to do that? Isn't it a brand? It's one of the global brands there. But yes, it did need to, especially when safety and security were of concerns during the pandemic. And I think the ad came later, but the efforts came before. And I think the way Dubai and the way Emirates was handling it was amazing. And it's a benchmark in itself to the globe now of how you focus on safety and how you make sure that your traveler is safe and secure over the other airlines that it competes with. So yes, I would say it was definitely a successful one.
I think what I liked about the ad was the fact that yes, they were rebranding, but they did not completely change the image. They stuck to a few core elements and they changed some part of it. So it was easy to digest. It was intriguing to see what new has happened. And the one that I would give most credit to is the fact that they have stuck to the idea that Dubai does anything, it does it grand.
Yes.
And they did it in a grand way, so that's what caught the eyes.
And we've got an awareness across the globe. Like first, only Dubai. For Dubai people, we know we prefer Emirates, and for us, when we want to fly, we know we want to go through Emirates because of the convenience. But with this ad, it went to the news, and I think not just Dubai or UAE, it was around the globe that people were looking at it. So that would be a very good strategy for brand awareness across the globe.
Absolutely true. Yeah. So if you were to give a rating to this ad, I don't know, very at a small level from 1 to 10, would we say this is a 9 and a 10?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think the first time I saw it, I said, like, why does it have to do this? And what is the reason for it? And what is the message? But as you dwell into it and you look at it, and I think what you said, Dubai does everything very, very grand.
Okay.
So why should it not do this one grand when it has icons here? When it has the Burj Khalifa, the tallest tower, and to think of doing something like that and then to do it says that when we aim so high, we can actually deliver it.
I think what you said, the rating 9 or 10 out of 10 would be great, but I would also like to point out that even if one thing would have gone wrong, like for example, if maybe we found rumors or anything that safety was compromised, and or any such news would have come out, then I think this whole stunt would have been a massive failure, and it would have actually backfired not only on Emirates but also Dubai as a brand. So when we were discussing Dubai being part of it and why Emirates would have done it, I think it is very important to also understand that this was a very risky move, and yet they were bold enough to take it.
Yeah, especially in these times, yes, true. Would competitors react to it? Did anybody react, or should competitors react, or they were just not able to?
I don't think they would be able to, because Emirates is directly linked with Dubai as a brand, and it's sort of this alliance that they have. They always are together, and being the national airline of the country, I'm not sure if any other brand would want to do that. First of all, a lot of lower ranging brand of the economy airlines doing this would not make that much of a sense.
Yeah.
And I think Emirates was just perfect for this.
Yes.
If anyone else does it, it would again be a competitive thing rather than rebranding or any branding.
At least in Dubai, no one would actually respond to it because they know where they stand. Even in airports, there's a different terminal that goes for Emirates Airlines and that goes for all the other airlines.
And
so they don't
and
understand.
absolutely, just to know that even Fly Dubai could not attempt to do it. So just imagine Emirates. Just imagine Fly Dubai instead of Emirates. I don't think it will go very well. You need that grandeur. You need that brand as opposed to a sister company or any other brand. Yeah. Good. So shall we move on to the next one? Okay. I think Shagun, we talked about it. Let's look at this ad. Yeah. So again, another one for itself that talks about rebranding. Very, fusion, very nicely done with the US. So what do we think about this one now?
I mean, it was a very simple rebranding for them. They just removed the donuts from them because they wanted to add more products. As we just said in the beginning, that company wants to add their product offerings, they rebrand themselves. They added more iced teas, they added more drinks other than coffee. Because Dunkin' Donuts was known for donuts and coffee at that time. And then they added other drinks. They started, I think they also added more product lines through a celebrity ambassador from TikTok. And then they added a product line just on her. Like from, I don't remember the name, but then yeah, Charlie drinks and all that. Yeah.
But I think more than that, it could also be to change the image that the brand has, just to seem more friendly, approachable, and engage the audience in such a way that if you want coffee or if you want anything in the morning or at a snack time, then Dunkin' is your option. It's easy to say. You can just chill with your friends and be like, you want to go to Dunkin', let's go.
And the ad directly shows that the setting of the ad is where people are hanging out.
Correct. Yes.
And I think this was actually a really good decision. All such brands are actually diversifying and they're increasing their variety. So this is a really good way to honestly go about it.
And also the fact that we see that a man is running. So I think this kind of might depict that while in morning, everyone is in a hurry while going to the office or to the school and just grab a coffee from Dunkin' and you're on your way. So
that's true. That's true.
I think removing donuts out of Dunkin' reminds me of this one thing Steve Jobs said, that removing something out of a product is more important than adding something. So that can benefit you sometimes more than that.
Correct.
I think it directly goes with this.
Correct. Yeah.
What I liked in this was that how easily they've removed the name. They've also kept the ads and the communication that simple.
Yes.
So if you want to shorten the name and make it simple, your ads are also that simple. I mean, I love the one that said Dunkin', enough said. That's it. So.
Yes, it's true. And I think if you want to make that brand more generic, the word Dunkin', the word donut needs to be out of the Dunkin' brand, and you're therefore trying to say something else in a very simple and sweet manner. Okay? True. Anything could have gone wrong there.
I think if the brand is not recognizable, if it hadn't been in the industry for this long, and then if after 1 or 2 years of operations, they would have done this, then it wouldn't have been the right move. And in that case, it would have gone wrong because you're removing your speciality out of the name, and that could lead to confusion or just no recognition of your brand at all.
I think even the advertisement in its own, if they have even had a slightest indication of any donut, people wouldn't be able to associate Dunkin' apart from donut. So they kept it very simple. So, in the mind of the consumer, Dunkin' is not just now associated with donuts.
I mean,
So the rebrand was successful
it's
there.
too early to say that, honestly. Still, Dunkin', if you still talk about Dunkin', people would still go for donuts. Because that's now their speciality in the mind of people.
Right.
It's still their speciality. So if I wanted to buy coffee, maybe I would not go to Dunkin' at this point.
Right.
But this advertisement was a start and a really good start, but it's still set in their mind that it's for donuts.
Correct.
So I think they'll have to take more efforts to get the other products recognized because they've built such a good image for their donuts that they still need to work on other products.
True. And I think the time will have to do that.
Yeah.
And recurrence of this will keep reminding you
Yeah.
that we are no longer a donut only
We have
brand.
more offerings
Yes,
to get.
yes. We have widened our portfolio. Such an established brand doing this kind of an exercise, everything goes on perfect. Everything could have been backfired if my personal view is if there were no insights as to why I am doing this. I think that answer as to why I am doing it has to be far more earlier and recognized than assessing it what I did was right or wrong. If you understand the whys earlier, the hows and the whats will automatically be correct because there's a rationale that you put behind doing this. And I think this would have happened at the back end, say 6 months before the line, saying the question would have started saying, do we need to do this? And do we need to do this comes with a point saying, why do we need to do this? Yeah. So that why becomes very important to do this. Brands established like both of them, one under the services sector, the other one in your food, snack, coffee space. Yeah. You have the charges. Is it a black point there next to you?
There is only
There is one?
Yeah.
With the message, I think rather than just take a decision in an arbit manner saying let's do this, you need to be very solidly sure of why you want to do this, and that has to be based on market insights and your consumers. Will they see it like this rather than arbitrarily doing it? Because if you do it arbitrarily, for example, they launched a new product which was Segway years ago, and when Segway was launched, it was a disaster because they did not know who is going to use it. Ultimately, the security guards involved used it, but it had the market people was not ready for it, and I think that needs to be understood. It was a new product, it was an innovation, it was well thought of it, but people did not know that whether it is a market for them or not. So I think that becomes important in both these examples as good branding, as effective branding exercises that marketers have to do to make it work for everyone.
And also adding up to this, as we've always learned in theory, that having an objective in place and then doing that specific action helps us to track the things better. So we could know at the end of the day whether that thing worked for the brand or did not work for the brand. So coming to the point that yes, objectives do play a very crucial role.
True.
Amazon did that very clearly when they wanted to say that Amazon, when you have the Amazon shopping app, you already have Amazon Pay with it. So they run an advertisement saying, like then some random things happen and the person says, I had it and I didn't even know it.
Yeah.
So then they said just like Amazon Pay. So that is, they did very well that you already have it and you don't know it.
Yeah.
That was the objective and they showed it pretty well.
They showed it very well, that's true.
Yeah.
Because the objective, which is why, and then the execution. And if both of them are not done thought through rightly, this big decision of rebranding could actually backfire, and that's not what we want to do. Yeah. Good.
It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me. And I'm feeling, and I'm feeling, and I'm feeling good. Blossom on a tree, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me.
Yes, Red Bull gives you wings, and I think we know that from from its one of its catchy lines that it started years ago. And here, rebranding, looking at it. What do we think about this one?
I think it was very interesting to see that for me personally as a customer as well, I would think that if this brand was going for a rebranding strategy, it would change its tagline because it has had a lot of issues, legal issues, especially with court cases being filed that, it does not give you wings.
Right.
So for me as a customer, as a marketer both, I would say that this is the first thing that I would expect them to change, but they didn't. They went for the packaging instead, they went for the whole theme, color and the whole feel of the product. So that was very interesting for me especially.
And it's actually a good decision, What got the brand recognition in the start was the tagline, Red Bull gives you wings. That's how we know it.
Correct.
If we always talk about Red Bull, it's we talk about the tagline, it was so catchy. And their previous ad, which was like the cartoon characters, they use a drawing where they show that it actually gives you wings. That was honestly very catchy, and I think one of the best ads I had seen. So they had really shown the brand well.
When we talk about the change in tagline, it's still changed. It was Red Bull gives you wings, and now they've changed it to giving wings. There's a subtle change, but then they still had the same elements of the tagline that people resonate with it again.
Yeah. And I think that subtlety, they mentioned it also, saying new brand but the same mission. And I think they're reinforcing it, saying we still are in that same group, it's just that our identity is modified a bit.
And also the fact I feel that they're trying to depict a different lifestyle, that gives you the power to take control. And as millennials, like their target audience is basically us and people aged till 35. So they want to basically emphasize the fact that we as individuals are independent enough to take our decisions. And yeah.
I think that could be maybe because they have seen a slightly different target segment now. Before, if you would place Red Bull, it was an energy drink, it would give you energy and you would need it to get through your day. But now I think it's more of a social thing as well. It is something that you can have it in your office, and it's a formal event also. If there is, then you can have a Red Bull instead of having coffee or anything else that you would prefer. So I think with that image has changed now, and they're trying to cater to that different segment.
Yeah, and it took them a lot of time to change it. It took them about 7 to 8 years. A lot of negativity, a lot of negative publicity in the middle, product content, brand. Therefore, they restricted themselves as far as now Red Bull at times, 10 years ago, if you were to talk about it, you would only say Red Bull is, this is the profile of that person, and therefore Red Bull. So you would profile the person also based on the brand.
Yeah.
But today, I think with the ad trying to show the mass appeal, widening of consumption, is I think what we're looking at as well. Done, executed very nicely, what I would say.
I would appreciate the song that they chose.
Yes,
Very powerful.
very powerful, exactly. The right words, building the brand forward.
And there's consistency, so people didn't lose that touch with the brand. Like that connection is still not gone. We know what Red Bull is, and they have even launched limited editions now.
Yes.
It's not just that one Red Bull. There's, I think so. There's yellow and there's black and there's red. There's so many editions coming out. So it's kind of interesting what they're doing.
And also the fact that they've always been very consistent in marketing their activities, and they've used videos as a form of advertising, wherein there was this one campaign in Red Bull that took place in India, wherein individuals were supposed to find out hidden cans in the website and get in some sort of offers. So introducing an element of gamification helped the brand in a very positive way, I believe. So
yeah, that was, I've heard of that. Yeah, good.
I want to see how the strategy moves forward with this rebranded strategy and this whole new image that they are carrying. I don't think I would want to see the ads that you were mentioning, with the wings and the animated cartoon characters. I don't think it would fit well with the new brand image that they've created for themselves. I would like them to continue on this path and see where it leads.
They set a new benchmark for this ad, so now it's no way going back.
True. And I think the catchiness and I think all in all three of them, the perfect fusion of the message, the execution, and who you're targeting is actually seamlessly going through for us to say that in all three of them actually will give them a full on full or a 9 of 10 out of that is what we are. The themes again being the same. If you don't know the purpose, these are very risky decisions to take. If they fall back, whatever credibility you've created is going to go down the drain, and that's not what you should. Play with a brand which you've established over the years. And as a first mover advantage, I think Red Bull has in that space. Coming up with this message, I think competition will react in a much more intelligent manner. They should, because the intelligence is also already taken up here.
Yeah. Just out of curiosity, I wanted to know who takes this rebranding decisions in the company.
Sure. I think on the rebranding decisions, it stems from the need of the marketing team itself, and it stems from the need as to what do you need, why do you need to rebrand? Do you want to create a new buzz like Emirates did, or do you want to create a new set of awareness like Duncan is doing, or do you want to create a new vibe in the marketplace saying we are here for all reasons and not for restricted reasons, like what your Red Bull ad did. So it does come out of the marketing teams, and of course the caveat there would be let it be in line with your strategy. Don't let it off board or off guard. So after that, I think it kind of leads to my next question. We saw 3 ads, yeah, and which, if you were to pick and choose one, I know all of them are very good. It's a tough one, and I think that's what we want to put this in here. And this question is open to the audience. Yeah, you could put that in the chat box. Which is your favorite ad out of the 3, and for what reason would you say that? Of course, would you say at the end of the day this is a good ad because it rebranded it well? What would you have to give your verdict on for if you would pick one as an example?
I think in terms of the ad, I would say Emirates, and especially because I've been based in Dubai, so it's very personal to me. I have a personal connection with Dubai and the brand itself. But if, as a marketer, I was asked which is the best rebranding strategy, I would say Dunkin' Donuts becoming Dunkin'.
Mm-hmm.
It was done perfectly, and it was kind of needed, in my opinion, as well. So.
Okay.
I feel it's Red Bull because such a competitive space where they're in, because there's so many brands for them for energy drinks. I think Red Bull stands out as the main brand. Whenever we think about energy drinks, it is Red Bull for us. If we don't get Red Bull, the others are the next option. Monster or Oceanade. The other next options for us. And then Red Bull changing their brand message, not changing their brand message, just changing the brand, and then keeping the mission the same, still makes us feel that Red Bull is still on top, and then no one can take its position.
Looking at the ads, and as a Gen Z, I think most of Gen Z would prefer Red Bull. The music, it's really the kind of music that we prefer. It's very captivating. It makes you feel powerful. So that was a very good theme that they used.
I think people can vibe to it when you're
when you hear the music, you can actually vibe to the ad. But I think worldwide, Emirates did a very, very good job. Like they actually captured the news and everyone's attention worldwide. Not just.
So where would your verdict go, Harshita? Would it be to Red Bull or Emirates?
I'm gonna be biased. I'm gonna say Red Bull.
All right, fine. I still don't understand why people have Red Bull at a bar when they are teetotalers. Why can't they have water? Why do they have Red Bull? But you must have a Red Bull, and I think that's the ownership that they own for the last 15 years at least. Nobody knows the answer in detail, but that's the preference that people have. So.
It's like it has the status symbol, like you're having a Red Bull, even if you're not having anything else.
So that has something to do with their brand ambassador. I think in the cricketing, this KL Rahul, ambassadors in India at least. So they have done the right research into picking up sponsors and ambassadors, and that's why it has that name and status in the society.
Sure. So what would your verdict be?
But yeah, my verdict would go to Dunkin' because of how it has changed Dunkin' Donuts to only Dunkin', and how I mentioned that has actually benefited them and gave them more. People know that it's not only donuts; it's something more than that. Something very social, something that you can have with your friends, or coffee, anything like that. I think.
Sanjana?
In my opinion, I'm also in midway between the Dunkin' one and the Emirates one. But I feel the Emirates one has kept all of us in an awe that, this kind of advertisements and these actions could be taken for just creating a simple ad. So, in my opinion, I'm still in a confusion.
I'm just about to hear what would that be?
I mean, I would prefer the Dunkin' one.
Okay. All right. Laksh?
I'm again somewhere between Dunkin' and Emirates.
If you were to take which one?
Let Shagun go first. Sorry.
Yeah, it is actually a tough one.
It's a tough one because the amount of we talked about the amount of risk Emirates has taken, and on the other hand, Dunkin' has very clearly stated that we are not only for donuts. So it's a tough choice, but because it has become the talk of the town and it has got everyone's attention, let's go with Emirates.
Emirates?
Yeah.
Okay.
Same. I was again dicey between the two, but as a marketing student, I'd say because Dunkin' needed a rebrand and they did it very powerfully. Emirates, it didn't actually need a rebrand. I mean, they had to get the message through about the change in tagline, the change in their offerings. That was very well done. But I think Dunkin', it was really needed and it was done very seamlessly.
So your verdict goes to Dunkin'. Do we have any in the chat tools? Just check. And
we have your team.
You want mine also?
Yeah.
You're also there. I think you have the winning point.
No, right now, I mean, the favor is going towards Dunkin'. I think branding, rebranding, all are, as we say, it is like top notch. It's very difficult to choose one. But looking at marketing and rebranding, the purpose in terms of why, how, and what was the outcome of that. I would give it to America's, the Dunkin' Donuts in that case. Taking the donut out itself, out of your core strategy, takes guts, firstly. And secondly, executing those guts in that manner they've actually created a new brand in that sense. And I think that's a brilliant learning lesson for everybody else to let go what you were hanging on for all these years.
I actually want to know how they're doing after this entire
It will be interesting to know that, because now if they were to talk to the average American, who would go to a Dunkin' Donut for a donut, now what does he think about it? Does he still think the same, or she think the same? Or are they going to Starbucks and then they are saying, let's go here as well?
But then I think still in our minds,
yes,
we never say Dunkin', we just say Dunkin' Donuts.
Exactly.
Yeah, so we still haven't got the message it's Dunkin'.
Exactly. And to not have donuts at Dunkin' is like a crime. You have to have it there. You have to have their flavors there. And now to think Dunkin' for coffee, it's going to take time.
It was known for coffee, but then they've made more because they had a coffee as a logo. They had a coffee cup in their logo.
But the donut was the catchment point, and not the coffee. So now that you have that personally, how do you capitalize on saying that we are a wide offerer of drinks as opposed to a niche of Dunkin' of donut and coffee?
Because they have a lot of competition. If you're talking about Starbucks and you had to choose coffee between Starbucks and Dunkin', I think there is no
doubt. Exactly, that's what I said. I am going to Starbucks and then will I go to Dunkin' now? Or will I know that I have to still go for a donut and get used to their coffee there? Yeah, interesting. So, I think the key pointers here are, again, branding is essential. Just to sum up our discussion, branding is essential. You can't be complacent. You must be, all the time looking at the need for changing it. Doing it rightly becomes very important. Why do we need to do this needs to be established, and then you got to measure it, whether it is successful, and then enjoy it. If it's not successful, stop it immediately, because it's going to erode the equity of the brands further.
Yeah, I'd just like to add on. I think now when we are in the digital age and we have so much technology at our hands, I think it's very important that when we are rebranding, we definitely include a lot of data. If we don't analyze our data and take the decision just, as per what we feel as a CEO or as a decision maker, because brand, everything can be very subjective. Marketing is subjective. So if you take a decision without understanding the data, I think it could go wrong in a very massive way.
Let's totally second that. And these are, like not small things that you're dealing with. They have equity, they have a value that turns into millions and billions of dollars. And if it's not data driven, it can't be done. Absolutely, totally.
A lot of times, brands rebrand themselves just out of competition because another major brand did it, or their major competitive brand actually did it, and that should never be the basis of doing it, because it could really go down there.
True. And the stakes are very high if you don't do it right.
Yeah. I think, sir, rebranding, the ability of a brand to rebrand itself also shows how agile and flexible they are in terms of coping up with the market and being relevant.
But I think that also differs on the kind of industry you're in. If you want to be seen as someone who is, keeping up with the market, who's very trendy, then you need to keep rebranding yourself and be seen as agile. But if you want to be seen as someone very traditional, very rooted, a heritage brand, then I think rebranding could be a wrong strategy if not done in the right way, especially.
True. Absolutely. And sometimes when you decide to rebrand, like in the example of Lidl, they tried to rebrand after years of it, and they couldn't do any change to it. All they did change was the model and the ad. The brand was the same, the settings were the same, the scenario was the same. And the model earlier was equally good, but the new one was just to keep a difference in the communication. And those decisions may also need to be taken. That let's not change it for the sake of it.
Also, adding up to what just Kalpesh said, I also personally believe that adaptability is the key to success in the world that we are living, like post-pandemic. And we just need to see when there is the right time, the brand should rebrand itself. And depending on that, having the objectives in mind, as we discussed, if the company rebrands and communicates it in the right way, it definitely works.
It will work, yes, absolutely. True. Because I don't know if you guys are aware of it, there's a bank here called Mashreq Bank. and it rebranded itself in the same couple of years about 5 or 6 times. Not a good strategy. Good. So I think that's we can continue with this, but we have our time constraints. So thank you very much for all those of you who logged in, and thank you each and every one of you as a super panelists that you've been this afternoon to discuss it, to add your learnings and your experiences to it. So thank you so much for this session. We will be having more in the future as well. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions?